Here's a crazy one, Charean. If you thought that the Broncos having no quarterbacks available, by the way, they're all now officially back except for Jeff Driscoll, who tested positive, the 3 who were knocked out on Saturday and placed on COVID reserve because of close proximity to Jeff Driscoll from that meeting that happened last week. Those 3 are back: Brett Rippon, Drew Lock, and Blake Bortles. That was strange in and of itself. And look, I've taken great pains to not disclose the name of the coach. I know who the coach is, but one of the assistant coaches, and I didn't understand this. And I had this thing in my pocket for 2 days before I finally wrote it because I wanted to make sure I understood exactly what happened. I gave everyone involved, the team, the league, and the testing company, BioReference Laboratories, an opportunity to respond. When you do a point-of-care test, there's apparently a machine involved, and the machine gets calibrated. And the machine gets calibrated with some sort of compound that registers a positive, so you know the machine is properly working or properly calibrated to determine whether or not someone is positive. Well, they use some synthetic compound, not live virus, to calibrate the machine to make sure the machine is ready to properly show positives. And one thing led to another, yada, yada, yada. A swab with that synthetic compound that is used to calibrate the machine ended up the nose of a Broncos assistant coach. Now, you know, someone along the way told me, well, you know, we've done 700,000 of these tests this year. It's like, yeah, but this is the kind of mistake that should never happen, even if you do 700 million of them. And there was concern. Now, there's no chance he could have been infected. You know, BioReference Laboratories declined comment. They say they never talk about these kinds of situations. But they knew what I was going to report, and they didn't push back on what I told them I was going to report. They just declined comment. It's just odd. It's just strange. And it shows you weird things can happen when you're dealing with this element on top of everything else you deal with as a football team. And I guess it's just something to be aware of. And maybe if you're being tested, especially point of care, keep your eyes open and don't be afraid to ask questions if it looks like something's unfolding maybe the way that it shouldn't unfold, especially if you're being tested on a regular basis and you become aware of the procedure. Keep your eyes open and have your mouth ready to move if you say, wait a minute, I'm not sure that thing should go up my nose. And here's the other wrinkle. Since I've reported that, Charean, I've heard from another coach who possibly had something similar happen. We've yet to nail that down to the point where we can report it, but it may not have been the only time it happened this season.
You know, Mike, of all the crazy stories we've had this year, incredible stuff that we never expected to be talking about, writing about, whatever, about, this, to me, ranks as the most unfathomable thing that has happened all year. And I am sure that coach was scared to death that he had been infected by the virus, not of his own doing. And can you imagine what would have happened, Mike, if he had gotten the virus based on that swab going up his nose? As you said, whether they do 700,000 to this point or 700 million, this is something that should absolutely never happen. And the fact that it happened once is incredible. If it happened more than once, it's unbelievable. And there needs to be an investigation of why this is happening and continue to happen if that's the case.
Yeah, and again, the folks involved will say there was no chance he was infected, but it was enough that he did test positive on the point-of-care test. He was out for a day, didn't get infected, but when the president of the testing company calls you up to personally apologize, something happened that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Something happened to mobilize the CEO of this company that otherwise would seem to be, you know, a fairly busy person to make that phone call and try to put the person's mind at ease. But the concern was still there. So just a strange situation. And again, if you're only being tested once, you don't know what to look for. But if you're being tested on a regular basis, keep your eyes open. Any coaches, any players out there, because there's the chance something could happen that shouldn't happen.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.